Globalization, and thank you very much to him for talking about the globalization in a different context. Friends, I come from the automobile background, and a brief introduction about my background and the company I work for. I work for Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles Limited, and we are a joint venture organization working in Indian country, Indian for the market for the last 6 years as joint venture. And Volvo, as you know, is one of the large conglomerate in the automobile field. They are the number 2 automobile maker today in the world, and very soon they are going to be number 1 because they are already in the process of acquisition of the Dongfeng China, and that good alliance is in place. So very soon the Volvo will be the number 1 company in the world for the truck manufacturing. Friends, it becomes a very challenging for you to handle and also work in an environment which is actually a joint venture with a company which is actually having a global presence. And therefore, when you form the joint venture and when you are on the helm of the driving organization for the modernization in the Indian industry, then you will have to decide and define how are you going to go ahead. And one of the good things that happened in the joint venture of Volvo with Eicher, so we had the expertise of the Volvo, which has one of the best processes and systems and technology world over. They have the know-how of the global market. And we at Eicher, having worked in the Indian market for the last 28 years, we have the expertise of the local market. We have the expertise of element modernization. We have expertise of technical know-how of the Indian mentality. Because one of the very essential thing in my opinion is that whatever plan, whatever processes, whatever systems we adopt, finally it is the customer who decides what is to buy. And therefore all your processes, all your systems, all your fundamentals of organization has to culminate for the customer need. And I think therefore it is very essential for us at the leadership position, but also for the organization to move ahead in the profitable manner. It is very important for the companies to form a very clear mission and vision for the going ahead. And therefore, the DNA of Eicher and Volvo joint venture actually was to drive modernization in the India and the developing countries. Because we know that trucking industry, I will take a little bit diversion from the main subject, and I will talk a little bit about Indian market. Because we are in a global environment today. Indian market from that standard of technology is not to the level of modernization what we see today in the Europe and in America. Therefore, it is very essential for us to bring the relevant products for our customers, those who are upgrading from the very primitive stage. So, the very essential thing was designed by the joint venture and bringing down the globalization in Indian context was to use the local expertise of Eicher, the frugal engineering, the relevant modernization part, a very strong network of dealerships, and mixing up with the global expertise of Volvo. And therefore, this joint venture actually is one of the successful joint ventures in the recent time in the automobile company. In the last 6 years, both Eicher and Volvo are doing phenomenally well in the Indian market. And if I were to talk about some bit more about the Eicher's presence in the world scenario, today Eicher is the 5th brand in the Volvo worldwide in their product portfolio. They have Volvo trucks in Europe, they have Mack trucks in Australia, they have Renault trucks in France, they have Nissan trucks in Japan, and Eicher is the 5th and the leading brand in the Volvo basket. This talks about how an Indian company with a strong base actually can become a global, and not only we are moving ahead steadily on the technology part, but we are also catering to the world. And this is about the success of the joint venture. Friends, why I am talking about this success? This is very important for us to understand the management of the Volvo Eicher is led by an Indian, and we are part of the management team, are constantly aware the things that are changing around in the India and the world. Therefore, right from the time when joint venture happened in 2008, the company is going steadily ahead and it's gaining market share. It is very important to also know that when you are working in the global environment, when you are dealing with the every single company of the world actually coming to India and trying to get the best of the market. It will be very interesting for you to know, gentlemen and ladies, that when we discuss about the globalization and commercial vehicle, if you look back a few years back, what it was very less competitive. So it is very essential for us as leaders and the leadership of future sitting over here to understand how do you see the market going ahead from now. So this slide talks about the Indian competitive scenario in 1998 when there were only 2 or 3 players, and gradually moving ahead there were 6 players. Going ahead now there are more than 15 players, and we anticipate that even further going ahead we will be having many more players in this commercial vehicle industry. And commercial vehicle industry is one industry which is considered to be a backbone of the economy, because the transportation is a very essential thing for any business. And after China, India is the second largest market for the commercial vehicle. So it is very important for any global manufacturer to be having a strong footprint in India. Friends, when our joint venture happened, it's a small mapping of the commercial vehicle arena, and you understand from this slide that it is very, very important for us as a leadership position in sales organization to bring in the relevant features, I would say modernization to our market need. When you as a leader are interacting with the customers who are having varied experience from a basic transporter profile to a large customer who is owning 4,000 trucks, and therefore one has to have a very strong global mindset. And I think this global mindset of knowing the business is very essential today. When we see that a lot of our companies in India, in the like we call it the FedEx, Blue Dart, Info Logistics, these organizations come with a vast experience of the worldwide in logistics business. So when you as a professional, when you as a part of the sales team are dealing with a large organization, it is very, very important for you to understand what actually the customer business is and how I am going to add value to the customer business by virtue of giving my services, my products, and the solution to the customer for his need. Therefore, what we talk today, this is a very interesting slide. It's not just for the automobile company, it's actually for anyone to understand. I would like to explain this slide to you. Friends, what we show here in this slide is the customer requirement which are global. If you see the Japanese market, there the factors which are driving the trucking industry are quite different. The blue bar here talks about the fuel consumption, and we know that fuel is a rare commodity now. Going ahead, we might have a struggle for the fuel in the coming years. Therefore, and back to the Indian market, where the transport industry is yet to develop fully, the fuel cost is a very major consideration for a transporter to decide which vehicle he wants to buy. But if you look at European market, there the fuel is not a subject crisis. There, driver is the crisis. And the cost of ownership largely depends upon how good your driver you find. And the major part of your expenses are on the driver. Therefore, when we worked in the joint venture in Volvo and Eicher, it was very essential for us to pick the relevant modernization from our company which we are entering alliance with, and that company has a global presence, and they actually can give us anything what we look for in terms of technology. You will be very amazed to know that driver's seat actually can be designed in a truck to adjust 12 movements. It can actually have a movement based upon the driver's own weight. But can we afford to give that kind of feature in India? Can we afford to give very luxurious features in India? But yes, we are also going for the modernization of the trucking industry in India as a part of our vision. And of course, we want to upgrade the market. Therefore, we have picked up very, very relevant features. I am sure most of you know what a cruise control is. And a cruise control comes in the high-end cars. Just to take the name of two companies, BMW, Audi, and cruise control basically is not properly used by us. Because when you go on highway, actually the cruise control, when you put the cruise control on, after certain kilometers you can get traffic and you make it off. But can you imagine, people want a cruise control in the truck. And therefore, we have been working upon this, and finally we have got cruise control to give a driver a freedom to operate the truck at the speed he wants, at the load he carries. So a lot of people in our chemical plant, head of quality, are actually from Japan. You won't imagine, they come with the interpreter. In all our meetings, in all our discussion with them, they communicate in their own language. And every meeting comes with the interpreter, whether it's media or whether it's customer interaction or our interaction in the plant. And therefore, without compromising on quality, we have the absolute systems of Japanese way of working in our plant. And that is why we are able to cater to the world requirement. So, this factor of adoption of egalitarian society, what we talked about, I completely support this view that you will have to adopt to the ways and processes which are best in the world when you are operating in a global setup. And therefore, you will have people of multicultural background coming and working with you. So your alliance and working with them actually is very, very unique experience. Just to share about some more fact that we have a lot of people from Swedish background, from French background working in our company because we have the global engine development R&D also in Pithampur. And Pithampur being a small town, I would not say a modern town, it is very difficult for us to actually cater to the needs of various people from various cultural background. But I think this has been a very big challenge for us, and I think it's a challenge from our admin department to ensure that all my expert colleagues are being really taken care of and they are working here for more than a year and they are employees of our company and we are working together. So there's a multicultural dealing with many people. I think another
Sorry to
element.
interrupt in between, since you had asked me to tell you over the time, so
Yeah, sure. I thank you very much for reminding me. I'll not take much time now. So another element where I will quickly come to the governance and the matrix of authority. Friends, it is very essential when you're operating into an international setup. A very big challenge for us is to actually follow the real governance system which are led by the organizations, because you are operating in an international market. And anywhere, any juncture, any point of time, your decisions are impacting large things. Therefore, it is very essential for us as leaders and also professionals to adhere and stick to the governance and authority matrices. And of course, one last thing before I sum up my presentation, so I have one more slide. This is the value creation. All our working as an entrepreneur, as a professional, or as a person in the NGO, I think it has to create value. Whether you're working into a global setup or you're working into a domestic setup, this value creation is very, very important, which I would like to emphasize today. And therefore, I think we at Aisha are believing in the Pro philosophy. In Pro philosophy, we have 5 strong elements. The strong elements are being professional, being productive, being profitable, being promise to the customer, and prosperity. These 5 elements are the ones which are using for our global business, be it in India, or be it Latin America, or be it AMEA countries. We are actually using these processes very strongly in our organization. And to sum up my point in presentation, that friends, globalization is not an option. It's an imperative. We are working in a global environment. It could be as a consumer, I'm experiencing it. It could be as a professional, I'm experiencing it. But globalization today needs a global mindset. And the challenges and opportunities what we see today in the world are not very unique to any one of us. They are very common. Therefore, going ahead, I would wish this young talent over here to actually get into more details and remember the element of value creation for the